Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Well, all right, here we go. Check one, check two. This is it. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour with your host, me, Rob Cantrell. Oh, man, I'm excited. I have a great episode, a caffeinated episode, a cannabisized episode with one of my first friends in New York, a great comedian, a great dude, funny cat. He tours with the legendary Tony Woods. We first met at the Boston Comedy Club, like in the mid 2000s. He's one of my dear friends, and we had a radio show even before podcasts with this other cat named DJ Concerned, and we'll talk about it. But this was my first host, and we had a show called R&R. Give it up for the comedian Rondell Hartley, everybody. Andy was at my wedding.
Yep.
Rondell, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm good, man. Just trying to maintain in this pandemic, now snowstorm world we're in now. So, I'm good, man.
I know, man. It's been a year. We've been underground for a year, living like mole people.
Yeah.
But we're doing it, and I hear good things. Just because I just try to, you know me, I like to be positive. But hearing about the vaccine, I like hearing about the vaccine.
Okay.
And I hear people getting the vaccine, and that means the numbers are going down. And as dark and awful and how the world might be exploding right now in some ways, but in other ways, it's like I do think there's going to be a snap back to reality eventually. And I think we're just be in a good place if we all keep healthy and cool. Like comedians like you and I that have been doing this, like people don't understand. Rondell was at the Boston Comedy Club, which was a legendary New York comedy club, one of the coolest cats there. And he would host with Tony Woods. If anybody wants to check out Tony Woods, he has a Tiffany Haddish special right now on Netflix, but he's kind of like a DC comedian legend. Like Tony Woods is just one of those classy, awesome comedic forces. And Rondell's always been with Tony since the beginning of your career, pretty much, Rondell. Since the beginning I met you, you were always kind of either opening or setting up the room for Tony at the Boston Comedy Club. And that's where I met you, and I met Patrice O'Neill, I met DC Benny. We were all there. There was we were all there. I mean, you guys were New Yorkers, but I came in like 2005. I was repped by Barry Katz. So I kind of got the whole open door to the Boston. That was kind of one of the good things that happened with Barry Katz. You didn't give me that much work, but he got me 3 sets every night at the Boston Comedy Club back in the day. And I do look on in hindsight, or just like, I do find those days, I hold on to them. I think I'm really lucky to be there with you. That was some real New York fucking comedy shit that was popping off down there.
Yeah, just a lot of, because you never know who's going to show up in the room. Like, it could be a Monday and you got Tracy Morgan coming through. This is like when he was prime Saturday Night Live or anything like that. When he's been crazy, then you're hanging out with him afterwards. We've hung out with him at Madam X, and he would just buy everybody a bottle of Moet.
That was Drinking Tracy. I ran with Drinking Tracy a little bit too. And then I toured with Tracy the last couple years. But back then, yeah, he was a rock star. He was he's still a movie star. But yeah, it was, I know what you're saying, just to have him pop in, like, it was like just a good old, just what would you call it, a sweat box. Like that place was just as the rapper Big L would say, just a sweat box, man. It was just a club, like just literally, what a club is, but it's just a room that's just 4 walls and it's black, and they got some speakers and a couple lights, and it gets packed out and people are drinking. That's the sweat box.
Yeah, some good times there too, man. And just like you said, Patrice would come and just make fun of everybody and crap on me and crap on anyone. And, but he was actually a good guy after all that, just snapping on each other. So,
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Patrice and Bill Burr and Vaughn. Pronounce Vaughn's last name good for me?
On
We could just
Von Carlo. I'm thinking it's
Von Carlo,
There we
Von
go.
Carlo, who's the sweetest,
Yeah.
funniest, cool chick, who actually dated Patrice O'Neal, and also put together this new documentary that's coming out from my friends over at All Things Comedy. So please check that out. But yeah, Rondell was friends with Patrice. I was friends with Patrice, but we were definitely more the younger comics in the room.
Yeah.
But I got to do New Year's with Patrice. And everybody said, you know, he would always rip, like Patrice was always somewhat respectable. I wasn't in with the click, so he wasn't always like ragging. He never was like ragging on me, but he never was like mean to me. Like I did do stand up in New York on New Year's, and he was nice to my wife. I remember I was like, oh shit, I gotta fuck with Patrice. I got my wife. You know, tough crowd. I don't know how this shit's going, but he was with Vaughn and I was with and I just remember it was just a respectful night of like, yo, Rob, what's up? You know, we were just he said hi. He was just sweet, cool, you know, and that we did a great show. There was a bunch of people on that show, but that was like in 2006 or 7, right when I got to town before he died. But it was kind of when he was out of the cellar. There was like this weird year when he was just trying to figure out what's going on, that he was doing spots, but I got to work with him then.
Sweet.
I just saw you were working with Tony Woods. Tell me about that. Like you just, how did it go?
It was good. We did the Stress Factory in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Great room, you know, and even half full, it was full, especially with the pandemic, you know, things are going on now.
Yeah, man.
And we were there from Thursday to Sunday. They threw an extra show on Sunday because the Saturday shows were sold out. So, you know, Tony and a Netflix thing. So it was good. The first night was actually good for me because I haven't performed like I've performed, but I haven't done like 25 minutes.
Either, dude.
You know, and she's like, oh, how much time you have to do? Oh, you have to do 25. I was like, okay. Just go up and just do 25 minutes.
Yeah, how did that feel, brother?
It felt, actually, the funny thing was, I felt my best set was Thursday. Like, everything was just flowing. I just went up, I was like, okay, and then everything fell where it's supposed to. The other shows are good, but that Thursday was like, oh my God, this is okay. You know, I haven't done 25 minutes in a long time. Just to go up and just for flow was like really great. Like you would tell me, yo, dude, you got to do more stuff on the road, you know, so I can help. It helps me get more stuff out than going up doing 5 minutes every other night. You know, it's just 25. You could play a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Rondell has a very laid back, cool, like your personality is just cool and you're funny, and it just opens up at 20, 30 minutes. You can let that breathe a little bit. And that's what's so cool about you working with Tony Woods, is that he does let the comedy breathe.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to work on that. You know, I think that's just a daily meditation of just trying to take it as cool. And especially during the pandemic, and especially with stand-up, because the crowd reads that. And once you get the crowd to be cool and easy, they're going to end up laughing at. I mean, if you could just say some goofy ass shit, they're going to laugh at it, and then you can get the ball up and running.
Yeah. It all depends. Sometimes if the crowd is with you from the beginning, like that Thursday show, had to be like maybe 30 people, but they were so like, it was this band. They were there to laugh. So that it helped out and everything went really good. And I was shocked. I got all like a lot of new stuff that I wanted to say. And I was upset I didn't take that set, but I still used everything from that show for the rest of the weekend. So
yeah, because the material, like I said, like I really think not everything's going to change, but it's going to be a new world when we come out of this shit. Like,
yeah,
I think money's going to move different. I think comedy's going to move different. I think things are just going to move different. And how you approach stand-up, yeah, like if I went up there and tried to do my old act, like I've done like 2 shows. I did one for Eastville Comedy Club, and it was outside in Brooklyn, and then I did one over in Fort Greene Park. Did I tell you about this? The one time I went over, I've been, I'm 47, I'm up there. I'm not trying to be out Coronaville, all right?
Hell yeah.
I'm taking vitamin D. I'm taking COC10. I got all these vitamins. I take emergency. I'm trying to make it through it without it,
Yeah.
But what the story, I mean, the story I did at Fort Greene Park, right when I went up, a Black Lives Matter march started going through the show. So comedy has been just like knocked down. I mean, I supported Black Lives Matter, of course, all day, every day, but it's the times, you know, I'm in the middle of a park at night. I got a mask on, and then here comes the march.
Yeah, it's like you have to talk about what's going on. You know, people usually just stick into their act and won't acknowledge what's going on around them in the world, but you have to. It could lead into your old material. You'd be like, I miss doing this when everything was regular, and
Yeah.
you know, but it's like you have to acknowledge something, you know. Some part of your act has to be acknowledged what's going on, and then when we come out of it, and you know.
Yeah. My first five, the sets I always did, and the word I always loved, and I just wanted to go out there and drop it, was droplets. I just wanted to talk about these droplets. Dude, it was nasty, man. People had crazy droplets. Before this, I'm not messing with nobody's droplets. And stand-up is a droplet game, man. All we're doing is spitting droplets.
And then the funny thing is, like, I smoke. People were offering me, like, hey, you want to smoke some weed? I'm like, we're in a pandemic. I'm not touching your spit.
I'm not taking anybody's job. I haven't passed the Doochie on the left-hand side in a year and a half, man. I ain't doing any of that shit. Yeah, I keep my own smoke. And yeah, Rondell definitely has always been pro cannabis and pro legalization, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm guessing because we are talking about Black Lives Matter, and I was just reading an article about the legalization and the mass incarceration, and I really think all this stuff, even not to go down the weed rabbit hole too hard, but environmentally, like I was going to drink a water bottle on this episode. My wife was like, don't be drinking plastic water bottle on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's just like, because everybody knows what the deal is. I mean, Texas is freezing up. Good job, Rondell. Rondell's always been fucking good too. He's got his recyclable. Have you been when was the last time you got a bodega bag?
Oh Christ.
I slipped. I'm not perfect, man. I tell you, just the other day. But I try to bring my own baggie to like to bodegas and grocery stores. I'm much better than I was 4 years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, but sometimes those bodega bags, sometimes they come in handy.
Yeah, they do.
I remember last winter I didn't have any boots, so I just put 2 bodega bags on my shoes.
Oh my God, that's old school right there.
But this year I got some boots. I was ready for the snow today, man. I'm ready.
Are you messing around with the edibles, or no? You don't do edibles?
No, I love edibles, man. You know me. I'm riding it to the wheels come off, dude. I just think cannabis is what I enjoy, what I like, and not right now, but right before the pandemic hit, somebody gave me, and it was a ridiculous amount of edibles, like ridiculous. And he gave them to me for free, and I was like, "What am I gonna do?" I was thinking about trying to sell, but I'm not no drug dealer. I was like, "I'm gonna try to flip these, I'm gonna buy some shoes. I'm gonna buy some boots." But it was right before the pandemic. And then because I haven't left New York, you know, I don't know about you, but I mean, I've done something, but I haven't left New York, the state, at all. I've driven out, like, you know, out in the like out a few times. But during the core of the pandemic, I was here in Brooklyn, man. I was just like locked in, and it was stressful. You know, it was super stressful, and you couldn't go outside and couldn't. So I didn't smoke, but I just ate an edible every night for like 40 days.
Yeah, I did an edible on Tuesday, a little half, and it really just knocked me out, man. It's like the ones where, I guess, the ones that mess with your mind, where they just have you blank. That's what I was just like.
Yeah, it gets into your bloodstream. That's the thing about like smoking it. Like you can take a shower or take a couple walks around the park. But the thing about edibles, once it's in your bloodstream, it's like tripping acid. Like it's like you're riding it out for at least 4 hours until your body processes all of it out. And you don't want to be working with any heavy machinery at all.
No, I learned don't eat the whole thing. When they say eat half, eat half. I learned, you know, It's been a few times I took one and then I ate the whole thing. I was on a train. I was like, I got to get home. I got to get home.
I know, being on the subway, I've been caught on the subway in New York, and I have been on like a Amtrak train on an edible, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah, it's if I do it, I was like, I have to be home and just lay down or something.
You gotta be, yeah, you gotta have the bed kind of near. That's what I was saying. Like, they're kind of good as an alternative. As you know, I never got into pills, thank God. I'm almost Rasta man. I want to drink ginger juice and fucking eat jerk chicken and fucking smoke spliffs. I don't want to even alcohol. It kind of bums me out. But I will say that a lot of people are taking sleeping pills, or what is it, Vicodin or Ambien or Percocets. Like I do think an edible is just like, you can get just a good night's sleep on an edible. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you're not opening yourself up to opiates. That's kind of where my head's at on that one. Rondell, I love your Wu-Tang tattoo. When did you get a Wu-Tang tattoo?
97. So this thing is old. I have to get it retouched up, but it's old. It's an old
97. And tell me what went through. Were you doing stand-up in 97?
No, I started probably stand like 99 or the end of 98, but the beginning of 99.
Same.
So that's when I started. So
where was your heads at when you got the Wu-Tang tattoo? What were you doing in your life then? What was your day job? What were you doing?
I was working in restaurants, bartending, and working at Red Lobster. I was working at Red Lobster.
Which Red Lobster? Was it the Times Square one? I know you used to roll by that one. No, were you in Brooklyn?
No, it was on Queens. That Times Square one wasn't open yet. That one off of Queens Boulevard. I was right off of Queens Boulevard.
And how much did the Wu-Tang tattoo cost?
Oh Jesus, I think maybe.
I always think about the tattoos. I'm always like, man, this tattoos cost like $300 or like $250, or anytime I had that much, man, I got some weed.
I think this one was like maybe $100 or $150, because this is when you couldn't get tattoos in New York City. You had to go to Long Island or something. So it's like an illegal tattoo,
Pete Davidson's cousin gave that to
you. So it was one of those where, because they were, you couldn't get it, so it was just, I got it, and then I only have two tattoos. That's the sad part. It's like people now, if you got them all, it's like just two.
Yeah, I think it's still, and if you're gonna have anything, Wu-Tang is definitely a good thing to have. Did you enjoy the documentary on Showtime?
I didn't. Not say I didn't watch it. I caught some of it. I definitely watched the Hulu miniseries.
I didn't see the Hulu. I saw the documentary. I love the documentary, and then my brother was like, "You gotta see the Hulu series. It's all about the Hulu series."
Because I didn't have Showtime, but now they're showing it on YouTube, Showtime's YouTube channel. So I'll most likely I'll catch it just to catch it. But it's like everything, but I guess you could see other stuff that you didn't see. So.
Yeah, I just remember really enjoying it, and just their whole story, and just learning about Staten Island.
Yeah,
just like how rugged and crazy Staten Island was compared to the rest of New York, and how that kind of just influenced their style.
Yeah, because I used to work for this thing called CVC, City Volunteer Corps, like early '90s, and they took us out to Staten Island, Park Hill, to like deliver food and coat drives. And I mean, that place was, I grew up in the Bronx. That place was just rough, and you saw Wu-Tang signs on there,
Yeah.
And this is like before they kind of blew up, and you see all these Wu-Tang shit everywhere. So.
Wow. Yeah. Park Hill. And I see what you're saying. And then it just had a little bit of, it's almost, I don't know. Yeah. Staten Island's just its own vibe, man. It's like kind of the country, kind of an island. It's kind of Long Islandy, but it's definitely New York. It's crazy. But a lot of people end up moving there, I find, from Brooklyn. People end up moving. They either start Brooklyn and end up in Staten Island.
Yeah. Certain parts look like Long Island, like where a comic. What's her name? Oh, I forget her name. Irene Bremer. She lives out in Staten Island. If you go to her where her house is, it looks like it's somewhere in Long Island. It looks like a nice, it's a nice
Yeah,
suburban area.
yeah. It's got like you can get lawn and all that stuff, and it's like a house, but you're right over the bridge, so it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Have you been performing? So is this kind of is the first time you've been out in a while? Or
Yeah.
have you been performing a lot, or have you been doing any of these Zoom shows?
I did one Zoom show, which was all right. I did like five minutes because I didn't want to do any Zoom shows. I was like, I don't want to do any fan Zoom shows. So I did one, and then I did a Zoom birthday party. My sister had a birthday party, and she had it on Zoom. That was my only thing.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I haven't done. I got one coming up, and then I did one, and I just started yelling. I don't know. It's just weird to get into like Comedy Zone, on the computer. Except for the podcast. I do like podcasts. I think it's dope that I get to see you and talk to you. Rondell and I had an awesome podcast, or it was before podcast.
Yeah.
It was on Brooklyn Radio, and we did it in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, at my friend Sean Aiken, who is actually doing artisanal pizzas right now. He was the manager of Brooklyn Bowl, but you can check him out I want to plug him, Rondell, at Shawnee Slice. And he's at Rockaway Beach. If you ever go out there, you can order
there.
pizzas.
I went there.
You did? I'm going there tomorrow. I'm going to go pick it up. Did you order pizza for Shawnee Slice?
I went, and it was during the summer. Like I have another friend who lives out there, and I went, and he was working. I was like, yo, yo, what are you doing? And he was making pizza at this Rockaway bar, little outdoor bar thing. And I was like, dope. And then, he's like, yeah, just come out, blah, 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 get some pizza. But it was crazy. Like that was a problem. I was in Far Rockaway too much last year.
I wonder about that. I'm going out there. That's our little sneakaways to go there tomorrow. But I don't know about the snow and shit.
No, yeah, it might be.
But I ordered. Yeah, it might be. We'll see how. But it's kind of slushy though. It's slushed out. My wife really wants to go, so she's like, "It's gonna be all right." So I'm staying positive, but I'll call it off if it's weird.
But it was nice. When I saw him, I was like, oh, shit. What's up, Sean?
Hey, he's selling it off of Instagram. He's got a new one called The Villain that's inspired by MF Doom. That's dope. Like Sean is like literally one of the coolest cats I know. Like he's managed bands. He manages a great music venue. And he also makes pizza on the side. And he's from, Rockaway, Queens. So he knows pizza. Everybody from New York that's from New York knows pizza. But he takes good care and has a lot of love for it, and just a positive, cool dude. And he was our DJ, which was cool. Like Rondell and I had this show, and it was right before podcast started blowing up. But I pitched a show. I ran into some dudes and that's how I got connected with Sean. It was called Brooklyn Radio Net, and Rondell and I had a show called R&R, and I'm very proud of this show. Because we had DJ Concerned, and he had 2 turntables. He had a mixer, one of the realistic mixers, the old school, just a basic like hip hop setup. And then he had crates of 12 inches. We would play beats all the time on our show, take bong hits, and just talk about comedy. It was so ahead of its time. And, I don't know. I had a lot of fun, but, the thing about podcasting and everything, like the money wasn't there yet. We were both kind of trying to get it together. I was just married and had a kid almost on the way. So, and then the website, the guy that owned it was kind of weird, and Sean had a falling out with him. So the whole thing kind of imploded, but we did maybe like 6 months. I don't know. We did maybe like 30 episodes.
Yeah, we did a lot. And we played music we shouldn't have been playing because we didn't have the rights to
we didn't have any of the rights to any of this shit. Like all this shit now you can't do. But I was gonna ask you, who I'm friends with? I'm not dropping names. But like we have mutual friends, and then we would run into each other in the neighborhood, and we had a couple of drinks a couple times. Was D Nice.
Okay.
So D Nice is and he's my Instagram friend. I almost had him on the show. And he's kind of blowing up. Like, have you ever tuned into D Nice's Instagram Live?
You had to. There was nothing else on. You had to.
You had to, man.
You had to. That was like prime pandemic. It was D Nice, and then just it blew up. That's where like the whole versus thing with Instagram. I don't know if you watch the versus.
Yeah, I love the verses, but the later ones I wasn't in. I love the Snoop and DMX. That was the best one.
But D Nice is the one who just he lit it. He lit the just had everything. That was the start. He opened it up, and it was everything else. Everyone else kind of followed after him, but it would be hours. I'm on my phone on the gram just watching him, listening to him play music. So that was like.
I know, and he's like, "Yo, Shaq, what's up? Oprah, what's going down?" He's playing like Chub Rock.
Yeah, and he'll mix it up, and it's just
he's soulful. He's so soulful, and he's an inspiration of a dude that took a career and then flipped it and kept on flipping it and staying positive and staying himself. And he actually was like the DJ for Obama, and he's just from a guy from our generation. If anybody knows, D Nice had a song called "My Name Is D Nice," and he was part of the BDP crew, which is the Boogie Down Productions, and he was also a part of maybe one of the best albums in hip hop, which was that first BDP Strictly. What was the first one with the bridges over and all that?
I don't know if it was Criminal Minded.
Yeah, it was Criminal Minded. Yeah, like he was a part of he was the guy that was making the beats. Like that was all Scott LaRock, KRS-One, and D Nice.
Yeah.
And those guys were up against Red Alert and all those dudes. Yeah. So he was making beats and chopping them and then producing his own songs. And then his hip hop career kind of went down after the 80s because he came on so early, but then reinvented himself as a DJ and became like one of the top DJs in the country now.
Yeah, I work catering events, and he's been a DJ. Like they do this big party every year towards I think it's Labor Day or something like that, Labor Day weekend. And it's like a rich place in the Hamptons, like a rich black doctor family, and he's always a DJ for that party. And it's been like maybe 5 years in a row. So I've seen him work several times when you do these catering events, and it's like big money that they get him,
Yeah. If somebody's if it's sponsored by American Express, you go get D Nice coming through. Yeah. I know, but he's also a regular dude that has his feet on the ground. Like just talking to him, there's zero fucking bullshit with that cat, man. Just pure, smooth, nice guy.
Yeah. Like we met a lot of smooth rap people from was it Nice and Smooth? Greg Nice.
Nice, that tripped me out. You and I would hang out, and Greg Nice would come and watch you. This was at that place in the Lower East Side, which is called the Laugh Lounge. Am I right?
Yeah, Laugh Lounge, but he would go to Boston too. He would go to Boston too, and then just hang out.
Yeah, the Boston was just so New York, man. You're gonna run into it. It was a sweatbox, but no, the story I always have was an off night. I had to follow Patrice, and it was Spike Lee in the crowd, but it was like one of those nights where there's literally 12 people. Yeah. And I just bombed right in front of Spike Lee in front of like 12 other people. But yeah, those guys were all around. It's New York. You just never, that's what the dope part of New York is. You go out and everybody's everybody, and you might run into the ghost of John Lennon. You never know.
Yeah, I think Prince was at the club one time, and I think Marion Van Peebles was there. It's like a whole bunch of celebrities from Ice-T to sometimes it wasn't like you said, it wasn't a packed night. It'll just be one of those off nights.
Yeah, and there was just be in that New York neighborhood, Ice-T. I heard Dennis Miller. I've heard weird people just would be around, and it was just that in the Comedy Cellar were the village clubs that you might pop in if you were hanging out in that neighborhood, Yeah, man. So shout out to those days, man. We had a great that I hope when this comes out of the pandemic that I am going to get a full on cannabis coffee hour. So I'll have you back on as much as you want. Hopefully I'll just get my crew and maybe even get Sean back on the turntables. What was cool about Sean, he was politically aware, and you and I aren't that political. We could always run stuff by, Sean is definitely a lot more progressive. He's on the cusp of a lot of the stuff that's happening, but it was cool that we would just balance everything out. What did you? I mean, what do you think about? I haven't talked to you. What do you think about the world today, man? What do you think is going on?
I don't know. Well, Trump is gone, so that's one good thing. But you know, it's like everything was just last year. Everything was just set on fire. Everything erupted. You know, all the tension and just race tension and from the right to the left. Like I've paid more attention to to politics thanks to Trump, and then thanks to what we're going through. You know, and just you had to just keep up with everything. You can't just this one of the times you can't live in your own world. You have to
You
seek
have to
information
communicate.
and just know what's going on around you. Because then you don't know, then
Yeah, and then yeah, it's just so greasy these days with the internet and stuff like that, that people can get into power. And yeah, I didn't want to get into it, but yeah, there is all this white supremacy and
yeah,
and all this stuff. And the one thing about the Trump thing, it's becoming more apparent how bad it is.
yeah.
So my idea, and it's as bad as it is, one way of looking at it with the Trump thing is that at least now we know, like it's
No,
starting. But the only thing it's scary, like with the Capitol insurrection and dudes wearing, swastikas and
yeah.
in the Charlottesville, like that's what I hate talking, but like when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, I never heard of Nazis marching and that shit just didn't happen, and now it's happening, and it's definitely making me take white supremacy and nationalism or whatever the Nazis like. I got to be wary of that shit. I got to look out for it. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be working in clubs that is fucking with it, like the alt-right shit. It scares to me, and it's has nothing to do with why I got into comedy.
Yeah, yeah, because it's it just he brought a lot of things to light that we were uncomfortable with, and he brought that's I guess one of the
Kind
good
of
things.
empowered people. Yeah, he empowered and people. Just yeah. Uh, it's a tricky subject.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want to go too deep in it,
I hear you. I hear you.
but I do also want to address it just because there was these articles about the comedy clubs and just like all this stuff that's happening, man. With the alt-right, that's what I'm saying. It's just
Yeah.
like I'm trying to just like make moves that it's only towards the love and positivity. And I do think it's great when, it's Black History Month. Rondell, you're one of my favorite Black friends, even though I would love you even if you weren't Black. But I do love it when people come together. I do love it when races come together. And I was talking about it on other podcasts, like a diverse crowd in stand-up. That's the best crowd. Like,
Yeah, that is definitely.
when it's everybody, when it's all mixed up, even ages, like when it's all mixed up, there's just a different tone to the comedy that's being played on stage. There's no home court advantage. So it just comes from a real play. The laughs are just like, yo, this is, this is what it is.
Yeah.
What have you been doing to stay healthy? Are you meditating, Rondell? Like me, I've been like I have to meditate. I have to stretch, or I go to shit. I have to I have to eat right. Like, I'm taking mad vitamins. I'm doing these Tibetan stretches. I'm listening to all this like positive stuff while I sleep. I'm doing everything. What are you doing? I know you're health conscious.
I was bike riding a lot during the summer. I bought a bike. I paid too much for it, but it's because they were sold out everywhere, and I was just bike riding all around Brooklyn, a little bit into Manhattan, and a lot. It was a lot.
You like it?
I like it, but it's just my bike is like a mountain bike. It's kind of heavy at times, so it's feels like a truck, but it was just. I was like, I bike ride from Prospect Park all the way to Coney Island, and then just like
I love
it was just a lot.
Playing music? That's the only thing about New York. Are you playing music while you're?
I had my little speaker with me. I had my little speaker, and I would have it in my bag and just.
Oh, that's the way to do it, because I always worry about the headphones. Like if I'm trapped in the music.
Yeah. No, I don't do the headphones. You got to hear what's going on. You can hear your music, but the headphones is like it's just.
Yeah, I think that's a smart way. Yeah, because but you also don't want to be bored. It's nice to have some beats going on.
Yeah, definitely some beats, some old school beats, some
What
new
were you
stuff.
playing there? What were you playing out on the road? I love when people play out off their bikes, and I'm coming home late night, and I'm kind of high, and I hear them and they're playing like Puerto Rico. Oh, and they're not playing that, but I just, they're playing something cool. Somebody was playing some jazz today while it was snowing, like touring their kids around. Like they had a sled and shit, but I must have had like a speaker on his joint, and he was playing jazz, and it just looked cool with the snow.
No, I would play this old school R&B, some like 90s hip hop and then new hip hop that I could understand, and just just whatever the vibe is. Like if I'm want to get hyped, I'll have some hip hop on. Then when I'm just ready, when I'm coming home riding, I'll throw on some, some 80s dance beats or whatever, So,
Yeah.
But that was the most thing. And then now, I'll be honest, the only thing I'm doing is playing 2K. I'm getting so I'm playing 2K.
Is that Sony Xbox?
Yeah, it's whatever. I have the Xbox. I don't have the new Xbox. I don't have the new Xbox or PlayStation 5, but my regular 4.
Yeah.
That's all it's video games, dude. It's just,
I know. You got to do something to pass the time. Yeah, I've been meditating, stretching, writing. I'm working on some new music. So I'm writing. I could do that here. That's what I'm learning. And all this technology, like I'm learning it all. So I'm excited about the Cannabis Coffee Hour and keep doing this weekly. I appreciate you being on, and I want to just keep on doing this and actually go to an actual coffee shop. Today I went to, have you ever been to the Bagel Pub? There's one on 11th Street.
No,
I've never been to one. It's called the Bagel Pub. It is on like 11th Street in Park Slope, like right before you go to Red Hook, like that. But I got some coffee there today. But I also bought some coffee beans, and this is Tanzania African beans, man. Snappy, vibrant, light, medium. But I like check out the Bagel Club. That's where I'm getting coffee. I'm trying to change it up. In terms of coffee, are you drinking coffee, Rondell? Are you drinking matcha? What? I know everybody's.
I'm still drinking that crappy Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
There's nothing wrong with D&D. I still love me some D&D, man. I mix it up all the time. You know me. D&D. Are you going, or do you get a bag of D&D?
No, because I want to get a coffee maker. I'm thinking about like the one where you just the one shot and you put it in, so I don't want to too much cleanup, but I do want to get a coffee maker because sometimes I don't want to go outside, and just because I know you probably got a grinder, you grind your coffee beans. And
oh yeah, I got a grinder and I got it, but the French press is the easiest joint, and then there's an Italian one you should check out. Like if you get but the grinder's only like $50, or you can change it up, but you can get beans cheap. But yeah, you can also just buy a bag of Dunkin' and make it at home on a French press, and it's like super simple. Or you get a coffee maker, Mr. Coffee, just like at the office, but you can get them cheap nowadays.
Because I was looking at a few, but I'm probably the ones with the little pocket. Like it's a 1 cup thing. It's the one with the little pocket.
Yeah, Keurig. The only thing I'll warn you, Rondell, man. The liberals might get you because they're environmentally they're not that great.
Oh, okay.
Because they're saying like every cup of coffee is like one of those little plastic joints.
Oh, okay.
But they are delicious. They are good. Like when you're at a hotel that got the Keurig, that's a good hotel. You're kind of psyched for that because the regular hotel coffee, that's just like ugh. I mean, it's all right, but it's watery. It doesn't have the goods.
Yeah, that's what they had in the room. They had one of the Curate things, and I was like, okay, but I didn't touch it because I don't. When I go to hotels, I bring my own liquor. I bring my own soap. I don't want you to hit me with no incidental charges.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The worst, what I've found is the fancier the more expensive the room, the more incidental charges there are, man. They'll put like a big fat bottle of water like right next to your bed, just being like waiting for you.
Yeah, you're like, oh, should I take? I was like, nah, I'm not gonna
pay $20 for a bottle of water today. But yeah, you still love traveling, don't you, Rondell? You still love it when they give you a hotel room and you get to do some stand up.
Yeah, it's like a work cake. It's like a work vacation most of the time, especially just to get out of New York. Just to get out, and then when we were able to walk around and go outside, just to do that. So
Yeah, just
like
to,
even doing the show this last weekend, it was like a ghost town, but people came out to the show. But I mean, there was nothing going on outside. So
yeah, it's just I think there's nothing wrong with it if people are masked up. I'm choosing not to go out just yet, but I am itching, and I think my family wants me to leave and get out because they're sick of my ass. And I do have, as you could tell, I thought my owl movie was playing. But you could tell that I'm itching to get out there. And I do think if you take Corona serious, if you're washing your hands and wearing your mask and not hanging mob deep, too long. So have you not gotten it, or did you get it?
I haven't gotten it. Knock on wood. Because I'm always when I started. When it started, I would mask up, but I had on gloves before. Because they were saying it was here or it wasn't here, but I had on gloves anyway, just gloves. And then I did work. They had us working. I had we worked for like a month and a half sanitizing NYCHA buildings, New York City project buildings.
Yeah.
So they had us doing that, sanitizing buildings. So I was already like rubber gloves, face masks, like
You had all the gear ready to go. Did you? You had the good face mask. You had the good ventilator.
Yeah, I had the ventilator. I had this surgical mask. Then I got the neck maskers too, where you just how the bikers wear like the neck.
Yeah. With the surgical, the double up, that's a good look. I just started rocking the surgical with another one, and it does.
Yeah, on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would do that. So that part, and then I live alone, so I'm not really around anybody. So it's kind of I come in and that's it. It's not like I'm hanging out with older or younger people. It's just me by myself. So it kind of helps out. This is one of the good times to be alone.
Because you're not getting on anybody's nerves. Now, Rondell, were you born in New York?
Yeah, I was born in Lenox Hospital, which is closed.
Is that Brooklyn or the Bronx?
It was Manhattan.
It's Manhattan. Okay.
Yeah, 14th Street. It's not there anymore. They teared it down.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to paint the picture to the listener. Like, you're a New York kid. Like, you grew up in Brooklyn, right?
No, grew up in the Bronx. Grew up in the Bronx,
and but then lived in Brooklyn. Yeah, I would guess. Yeah, and then started doing stand-up comedy in your 20s.
Yeah,
and but you've done great, Rondell, and I do think like touring with Tony Woods, like he's getting such a good look right now.
Yeah,
with the Tiffany Haddish, like something I'm working on is resentment and bitterness. Like as a comic, that's like our number one goal is to not to get bitter and not to get because life is so good, being alive is such a dope, like, I don't know, the older I get, Rondell, the more I'm just like appreciative of every fucking day, dude. Like I look back, I'm like, damn, I know dudes that are done and been done for like 10 years, Yeah, you and I, shout out to Todd Lynn. Todd Lynn was mean to everybody in the comedy scene but me. He was nice to me.
Yeah, he loved you. He loved you so much.
I know. I hear like all these like Pete. Everybody of my ear got trashed by Todd Lynn, but Todd Lynn, you know what? I killed in front of him a few times. Like your impression. There's dudes I know that are like not doing that well at all. But the first time I saw them, they crushed.
Yeah.
So they're gonna always be funny to me.
Yeah, it's like, oh, but then struggling. Yeah, it's a marathon. This game, with this.
It's comedy survival, man. Because we've just seen people go way to the top and come way back
down. Yeah.
Bill Cosby was in prison for the last 5 years. Shit flips and shit flips fast. Look at Texas right now. Everybody's fucking. It's snowing down there.
Yeah. Oh, and with snow and it's like ice. There's ice everywhere.
ice everywhere. People can't get water. Love to everybody out there. Like there is such a division. Um, and you know, it's just like, yeah, we just, good meditation quote is like, if you pray for God, he doesn't send an army, he sends love. You know, it's just like, I just think love is gonna, if people just being nice to each other and helping each other out, like it just got to get to that point.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and with that's something I think people are starting to get to. At least, hopefully, they're doing that in Texas. I don't know.
Yeah. Have you been watching any shows?
Am I been watching? I just started Judas and the Messiah, the Black Messiah. You know about the Lucas brothers?
Yeah. I saw it. I watched it last night. It's really good.
It's really good. It's like Donnie Brasco. I will say to the viewer, like my herb man, he's only been giving me indica, right? So it's just like, all I got is indica, and I just start falling asleep. So, you know, last night I was into it, but I only made it 45 minutes in, and I got to finish it. But I did like it. It's like Donnie Brasco meets the Black Panthers, and it's a very historically significant, you know.
Yeah.
Did you go? Do you know much about the history of the Black Panthers? I mean, just like it's not told. I think in the Black community, the history of the Black Panthers, if you're old enough, you did. I mean, because you've came up in the 70s a little bit, like
a little bit. I most knowledge, like I already knew that story. I knew it from like documentaries, and so that story I knew. Just the little stuff. Because it's
Fred,
all, you know.
Fred, was he a good guy? What was Fred a good guy? Like, or was he the most like he was like, we're getting guns. Like we're
getting guns, but it's not like he would say we're getting guns. Well, when you watch it, you'll see that he's like, he says we're doing this, we're doing that, but he wouldn't give direct orders to say, now you go do that. You know, he just puts it out there. Like when you watch it, you'll understand a little bit more. But he wasn't where
you're coming from, and definitely during the times and the desperation and just the isolation of the Black community in terms of education wise and financial wise, that there is a need to be like, yo, we got to fucking protect ourselves. Like, if somebody comes for us, there's really nobody that's going to have our back. So we have to realize that and come together a little bit on this.
But it was all about J. Edgar Hoover being paranoid about Black people and wouldn't pay any attention to the mob because the mob had evidence of him being, gay, and so it's like he focused everything on Blacks and not the mafia, so it's kind of, you have to look at it on that. There's so much other stuff, just when you pay attention to history, and you like, now you can find everything, just YouTube, Google, so it's information's out there.
What actually happened, in terms of prominent Black leaders, questioning power, questioning powers to be being knocked off, which is just scary and something we didn't live in. I don't know, but go ahead.
And it was our government doing it. It was FBI. It was our government. They saw them as threats, like how we see the Taliban or ISIS, or most of the stuff wasn't that extreme, but they saw it as a threat to the government. So, and it was Black people of that. They went after the Klan, but they felt they didn't want.
Well, once again, it's easier to go for the minority.
Yeah,
because you got it's just math. A lot of race, like I'm learning, and I respect everybody's culture, but a lot of it is pushing people to the side, power, just trying to minimize other people in order to gain more and more power. I've always thought, in my heart of hearts, the African American community, just a manipulation of power got, slaves actually built the economy of the U.S. Not to get too deep, but they did. It just, tobacco was the trade, and that's how America got money, and that's just how it happened. And that realization that people got to, it's just what it is, and people got to go back a little bit and try to figure out how to make it right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Bad, but stuff that we,
Stuff that it is not boring right now. I will say that. As crazy as everything is, that's why I'm glad to be alive, and I try not to overthink it. And I just because I think it's important now that we have kind of difficult conversations with each other.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be right, and but at least I'm trying to try to figure it out in our heads and try to move towards love. Whatever we can. That's what I do think about. Militant groups and it's just, I do think, yeah, I don't know. It gets deep with violence. I'm just not into violence. I think a will to kill. That's what I've been thinking about. Just like, I don't know if that, it's just, I think nature works in a way, like if you go towards the love and go more of a natural way, nature will meet you. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
No, you're right. I feel you on that.
It's just like I've been doing all this stuff about breathing and me even being a comedian. Just like go towards it, don't fight it. It's a natural process. If you put it in your brain, if you work hard, nature will take its course and, lead you the right way, hopefully. Unless you get funky. Like the other day, I've been kicking over. I'm glad you got a water bottle. I've been kicking over cups of water. I always have cups of water, and every night I kick it over, and it goes right towards the electrical sockets. And I'm like,
Jesus!
Shit! Yeah, every day. This doesn't happen I'm like, is the universe trying to electrocute? So I'm just saying, you got to watch your P's and Q's. You can't be too hippy dippy. I guess you can't be too hippy dippy because it's a tricky world out there.
Are you still working out in the parks, or you don't go to the parks? I know you were doing the park workout for a minute.
Yeah, I love the park workout. I was doing pull-ups. I went through a whole pull-up phase, like right when I was 40. I did 3 sets of 10 pull-ups. I was so proud of myself. I love pull-ups. I love going to park. But Corona started hitting, and I would go over there, and there would be dudes with no masks over where the pull-up bars are. And I was like, man, you motherfucker. Then I would walk home. Because I would, nothing I love more than hitting a couple one-hitters on the walk over, doing some pull-ups and not looking at my phone. I love not looking at my phone. Anything I could do. I love making my bed. That's why I started playing the guitar. It's a way of not looking at my phone. I do like podcasting, and I got a microphone that's like a real comedy club microphone. So I'm kind of getting used to this. So this is how I'm getting my stand-up bug out, but I also have 20 years of experience, so I'm not that, I'll pick it back up, man. I know the good job, it's just going to be a different place.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying, but was battling back and forth with that. I'm trying to get one of those UCB mics, a little UCB mic, and I want to get a better webcam. Yeah, just like you said, to talk. Just to talk. It's we've been doing it so long. Like my friend was like, "Oh, you got to go up every night." I'm like, I've been doing it for over 20 years. I know what I have to do to get prepared. I know how to set my jokes up. It's just talking, and then I'll get some stuff out, and I can write it down, whatever. But it's just, especially now, that's like the best thing. You could, like you said, do your own podcast. You could just talk for like in half an hour by yourself, record it, upload it. So.
That's what I think. How I started, Don. Rondell, I just started doing it. I got a lavalier mic for a short film, and then I was like, I'll just plug this into my phone. So I just started recording it, and I didn't have any guests, and I would just do an hour, and it was hard, but it was just like stand-up that I was like, I'm just going to keep on doing it. And now the people are actually listening, and it is something I'm proud of. And I have cool guests like you, Rondell, on, and I'm glad to connect our forces, man. Because there is a dope scene here in New York, and a dope scene. I'm thinking about getting a room in Brooklyn, like maybe a monthly or something when this thing opens up, so I can get some stage time on my terms, The club scene got not to talk about it too much, but the club scene the last 5-6 years have gotten kind of funky in Manhattan. I don't know. Am I wrong? It's always been kind of funky. I might be right. I was thinking about it today. I was like, the thing is, you want to get out of those clubs fast. You don't want to stay in them too long. You want to be out. You want to get to the point where people are booking you on the road.
Yeah.
You can't
I
live
think
and die by those rooms. And I think you and I did for a while. And it's just, I don't know.
you get burned out, and then when it's not, you're like, okay. Then when the big guys come in, you get put to the side for them to get the spots, so it's,
Yeah.
and then you got to battle. If the bookers get fired, now you got to do I have to re-audition for a new booker, and it's just, like Wayne Rader has been, how many clubs did Wayne Rader work? Like so many different clubs. He would take his
Wayne
people with
Rader
him.
actually managed Patrice O'Neal, and he was a little bit of a shady character, but also
a little bit.
a little bit of a shady. I wasn't ever sure what was behind door number 3 or 4, and I didn't want to know. As a lot of these bookers, there's just it's the nightclub business. So, and Wayne Rader's not even doing it anymore. Like some people just come in for 5 years and they book it. They like the comedy. They like to drink. They may do coke, and it's just like they hang out for 5 to 7 years, and usually people get burned out and move on.
Yeah. But I think the rooms outside of Manhattan is like what started happening, even like bar shows, Brooklyn Bowl, and all these other supposedly alternative rooms. But, that's what it was leading to,
Yeah, I just think that's with the internet. Like, that's where I think the money is happening. People are, selling stuff off. Like, shout out to Shawnee Slices. He's selling pizza right off the Instagram, and they're actually really good, and he's making money and doing it. So I just think the money is just moving in a different direction. And, owning and facilitating a comedy club full time, I don't know in the future, is that going to work? I'm not sure, Or people just gonna book stuff on the internet, like, yo, I got this, boop, 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 put it on my Spotify, put it on my other thing. Here's the date, here's the venue. I sell tickets through this app, and
that's what's happening. That's what's
been
happening. All these other, like a few shows I did, everything is put it online. The secret location, you get the location, and it's you get a nice show, and people want to come out. So when the club's open,
a dirtbag that runs it, he'll Venmo you some cash.
Or Cash App. That's my thing. You can make money with Cash App. So
yeah. There's the money's just moving. I'm kind of excited if I can get through this without no COVID.
Yeah.
And the numbers, this vaccine. Are you going to take the vaccine, Rondell?
I probably would have to, but it's gonna when it gets down to when everyone has to have it. I'll hopefully, because I heard people getting sick from the vaccine, and it's kind of sketchy information, so you don't really know which one is the better one or which one's the so.
Love your honesty, Rondell. You're right. And am I right? Like we were touching on before, I do think as I want to get the vaccine just because I knew people that died and old and stuff like that. But at the same time, I understand the hesitation of people and understanding that they don't know what I'm putting in the body. And as you know, like, you can't really trust the government all the time for those. I was just saying the Black community has learned from history, maybe sometimes not to go blindly into these things.
Yeah.
That's all.
There's people who recently, but they were old anyway, like Hank Aaron, he took a shot and then like a couple of weeks later he died, but he was already in his like 70s, so.
Ooh, yeah. Because I got a flu shot and I could feel it in my arm.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready for it, like, you're just giving yourself a little, you're just building up those antibiotics that can handle it. Yeah. And if those antibiotics can't handle it, you got it.
So but most likely I'll do the shot, but I'm still gonna mask up, because I don't think things are gonna go back to somewhat normal until 2022. That's what it looks like,
Yeah.
It probably come down to summer will be nice, then you'll see how the winter is, and
I know there's variants. Like, I am worried about people because you could just feel it at the air. Like, I was at the post office and a couple people didn't have masks on. You could just feel, and it was sunny outside. You could feel people loosening up, and I was like, I don't know if this is a good time to start loosening up right now. And I did hear of I won't say the name, but I did hear of somebody else. Yeah, in showbiz that just got it.
Yeah, I think Chappelle got it too recently. He got it recently too.
Yeah, he did have it.
He was hanging out with Joe Rogan's friends.
Texas is fired. Texas just went crazy. Just said, we're not closing down. And now the power's out. And
Yeah.
Everybody moved there. Rogan, Giannis moved to Texas too.
Oh, he did? Shit.
Yeah. That's a Brooklyn cat. Like everybody moved down there. The Creek and the Cave moved down there.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. They had to do something because they just wasn't,
Yeah, it was time. And New York isn't opening up. Yeah, it's just not. It's not that it's tough to start a comedy club right now in New York City would be.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. But Texas, yeah,
Texas. And the Stress Factory ended up working out. I did, we got to support all these clubs. I don't want to bash any of these clubs, but some of them are great. And I love working comedy clubs. And some of them run great. It runs the spectrum. Some of them are run top notch and some of them are running, kind of shady. It's just like any place.
Yeah.
But I do want to support them. Did you have fun at the Stress Factory? Did they take it serious? Was Rich Voss hanging out?
No, he was there the previous weekend, but it was, because the Connecticut one, I think people just go out there to work. They don't really hang out,
Yeah.
But I had a good time. It was great to perform in a live stand-up show and in front of a crowd at a comedy club. It felt good, but it still was. I think we had too many people doing guest spots on the show because you know how Tony Woods is a nice guy. He lets everyone. It's like it was too many guest spots.
Everybody knows Tony, and I went to Caroline's right before. I think. Like Caroline's right before Corona happened. Remember he played that week, I think with that James guy. He did that weekend and I just stopped by. If I see somebody at Caroline's, shout out to Caroline's. Caroline's has never ripped me off with money. They've always been honest. I've always loved working there. If I got a weekend at Caroline's, I'm actually really happy because they always feed me and pay me. And it's usually a good, it's kind of a touristy crowd. It kind of matters who you got. But the last time I went there with Tony, that I saw Tony, it was just lined full of comics. Like
it was.
Everybody was hanging out. DC Benny's doing a guest set. Michael Coyer, that classic Def Jam comic.
Yeah, he did a guest.
He did a guest, like dudes I hadn't seen like in 10 years are up there doing guests. Like, not that all those guys are headliners and doing stuff. It just Tony knows everybody.
Yeah. And I went and I was like, I know I'm not going to go up and I didn't want to go up. It's kind of like, it's a Saturday night. I'm like, let me just go hang out. I haven't seen him in a while. And it's just people just guest spots and, and then Jason's there, and so it's kind of all right. Then it's kind of weird. Like, all right.
Yeah. When am I going up? Yeah. No, but it's Tony's so confident. He doesn't care if a bunch of people went on before him and fucked him up. That's the thing. How good Tony Woods is at comedy is that he could literally have like 20 people go up and bomb, and he got Kramer go up and do some shit, and he's just gonna go on and do his material. He's just gonna go on and kill.
Yeah.
It could be as awkward and weird. I did shows with him in DC, like, I've seen him do theater, biggest theaters, Kennedy Center. And then I've also seen him off of Highway, like Maryland backwoods sports bar on a Tuesday night. And here comes Tony Woods. He is that dude that's going to do some stand up and he's going to do it right.
Yeah. That Baltimore, what's the club in Baltimore? I wanted to do it with him, but I couldn't do it.
Well, there's no Rubies.
No, it wasn't like the factory or something.
Yeah, the Comedy Factory. The Comedy
Factory in Baltimore, yeah.
Yeah, somebody got stabbed there last.
Oh, Jesus.
It's violent, man. No joke. You can't be calling for security. With security, they got knives. Yeah. There was, somebody got stabbed at the original Baltimore Comedy Factory, like during a show. I remember that. And I used to do that, but they moved it. It's more official, but they had it at this other place. And they used to headline me really early on, but I would have to do 3 shows Saturday, 3 shows Sunday, 3 shows Friday, 3 shows Saturday headlining. And they would do these all you can drink tickets. It was like the most savage. Wow. Yeah, I spent a lot I did too many of those shows, but they would pay me really well and the hotel was great. And I like Baltimore.
But 3 shows? I can only do 1 show on Sunday. You did 3 shows on Sunday?
Not Sundays, Friday and Saturday, 3 shows. Okay.
Oh, 3. So
but that's like they made your money on you. Like they would be like, yo, Rob, we're giving you like 15 to 2 G's.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
That's the headline.
Yeah,
But that's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a regular headliner. That's kind of your base headliner weekend comedy club. But they would throw 2 more shows. You know, they were making their money on you.
Money.
You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
it's like they added one other show that no other comedy club would do to you. You know, they put a whole, you know, and they brought a whole other crowd in, and you were working that. You know, you weren't leaving until 3:30 in the morning.
Shit. Yeah, that would that I didn't know that.
But this is like this. I guess this would be like 95. This would be like no, not 90. 2005 to 2010. You know,
Okay.
they were at this old building. Then they moved over to the other place that used to be the Improv, and it's more of like, you know, just a big room deal.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because we did 6. We were supposed to do 5, and we did 6 because the people on Valentine's Day, they wanted to come out for Valentine's Day. So, but it was, when they hit 6, because I would only get the 100, 100. So I was like, yeah, that's 600. It's good, better than 500. So, but yeah, oh man, 3 shows. I remember clubs used to do that, like Sal's Comedy Hole and some other places used to do 3 shows on Friday and then 3 shows on Saturday, and you got the early one, then you got the nice one, then you got the late show.
Yeah. Then you just got the mess.
Yeah, the mess is like after like the midnight show is like, oh, you're just done. And then if you're hosting it like I was hosting, fucking done.
Yeah, Rondell, we've gone just about an hour for the Cannabis Coffee Hour, and I appreciate it, man. Just to sign off, what kind of music are you listening to? I try to lean into tunes. I know you got a good ear. What are you listening to right now?
I don't. It's whatever. It's like whatever's old school, hip hop wise. Nothing really.
Are you messing with Gucci Man? Are you messing with this trap stuff?
A little bit of trap stuff, but I was rocking Nipsey Hussle for a minute before he passed.
Oh, you were into it before he passed.
Yeah,
a lot of people talk about Nipsey and they didn't even listen to their music.
Yeah. I was like his album when it first came out. I was like, oh, this is it. And I was rocking that for the whole year. And I was like,
who turned you on to that? Kind of an underground West Coast.
Yeah. He was on one of Snoop Dogg's albums back in the day. Then just a little bit, didn't pay too much attention, but I knew who he was. And then when he has like a lot of mixtape albums, but then when he dropped his official album, I was like, oh, and I just started going back and just listen to all his stuff. But he was one of I guess the younger rappers. I was like, oh, this guy, we could just roll with him. You try to find as older dude, you got to find a rapper you could hang and just like, all right, I can understand what they're saying, and it's just somewhat meaningful music with some substance. But the mumble stuff I can't do too much. The beats are nice.
It's gotten really violent is the only thing, and maybe it's just my age, but the shit has been really like, I'm gonna grab a pack and then I'm gonna shoot. It's all like straight. Yeah, you could reference some coke dealing, but the whole the whole song doesn't mean to be I'm cooking crack, I'm cooking, I'm cooking crack, I'm cooking what is, but the Migos, they do have that, like it is like trap music, but there is something to it. There is something to that Migos beat that I do kind of like, and Gucci Man, it does have something there, but it's not what we listen to. It's a different thing, man. It's a different vibe.
Yeah, like for the Migos, I can listen to like their last album, but I'm still like, I always like when Fat Joe drops something, I'm like, please be good, so I can listen to a Fat Joe album.
Yeah, some of these guys have like that flow. I would say Kendrick has kind of our generation flow in a new generation format. I think J. Cole's kind of like that. Run the Jewels did it the best. I think Run the Jewels kind of like hit like what you term of like 90s, or I would say I call it New York hip hop. Like I really think if you want to talk hip hop, you got, you're talking the espresso. When you talk about, early 90s, late 80s, or even the original hip hop from New York is like, it almost sounds like blues music now. It has soul, it has depth. Whereas now you listen to a trip hop video, it washes through you like sugar. It just like, it gets you high for a minute and then it makes you feel bad.
It's
but I put on Cool G Rap. Oh man. You gotta make it happen. Get this money. Fast Life. Yeah, Fast Life by Cool G Rap. Oh man, it has Nas's verse. Go back to that. That is a fucking hot. You know who else has some great new beats is AZ, Nas's
AZ.
dude. AZ.
Yeah, I saw one of his new videos. He still looks the same. He still looks like he's still in his
and the flow's still the same. That's what I love about it, man. I got that. I love that shit, man. I have Spotify. I do enjoy Spotify. And I got all the new AZ. Like I was like, oh, this dude still got it. Just like you, Rondell, you still got it, my man. And I appreciate you coming through. Wu-Tang forever, R&R forever. I love you, man. You're one of my favorite people, and I'm glad you're still alive and kicking it. And I can't wait till we get out of this pandemic and we can podcast and do some more shows, stand-up wise.
Yes. Thank you for having me, brother. It's been a long time, man. It's been a long time, man.
It's been too long. We got to get back into each other's universe. As soon as this comes, let's get together. I'll have you over to the house. I know I've been talking dinner for a while. I owe you dinner. But I don't bring that in. I don't bring many comedy people into my.
No, I know.
There's only like 3 or 4 people that I trust to bring close into the fold. But you're one of my favorite people ever, Rondell, and you were there from my beginning of my New York comedy shit. You were always there, and I always loved seeing when you were around. It bums me out when I would go to those clubs and I wouldn't see you around. What's all these cornballs? All right, my man, Rondell. Thank you, buddy. All right, peace, love, everybody. We're out. That's it, man. I appreciate it, Rondell. Let me turn it off, but I'll try to stay on.